Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Okay, let me introduce myself. I am Nurul Maimuna. My friends call me Nukmai. My student number is 73.
I am Fuad Muhammad Wahab. My student number is 75.
I'm Gaisani Farainistan. My student number is 74.
Right. Today, our team gonna presentate our presentation, which is the topic is language, history, and changes.
So, language history and changes are a fascinating topic that delve into how language evolved over time due to various factors such as culture shift, migration, technology, and social interaction. This old version of the Lord's Prayer from 1,000 years ago shows how the English language has changed to become today's English. So, what is philology? So, philology is studying how language have changed over time. In the 80s, philology was a big deal in language studies. It led to making family trees of languages to show how they are connected to one another. So we're moving on to family trees. So language family trees are like family trees for language. At the beginning of each language, family trees is a proto-language, which is like the ancestors of the language. Linguistics figure out these proto-languages by looking at similarities between related languages and guessing what the common ancestors might have been like. For example, Indo-European. So by studying these language family trees, linguists can learn about how languages change and spread over time. It helps us understand things like ancient migration and culture exchanges that have shaped the way we speak today. So, language family trees are like maps to guide us through the history of human languages. Now we're talking about Indo-European. So, in the Indo-European language family, linguists have guessed at a language called Proto-Indo-European as the common ancestor of many modern languages like English, French, and Hindi. As time passed, different groups of people start speaking differently, leading to the many languages we have today. So Indo-European is actually the biggest language family in the world, but there are around 30 others too. There are over 7,000 languages known, with some in danger of disappearing. Chinese has the most native speakers, followed by Spanish, English. It might seem strange that languages like Italian and Hindi are related, but if we look back to their older form like Latin or Sanskrit, we can see the connection actually. For example, the words father and brother in this language have similarities, like this example, the Sanskrit, Latin, and ancient Greek. There is some different spelling, but the pronunciation is almost similar to one another. So this word demonstrates some common vocabulary across different Indo-European language. Despite differences in pronunciation and spelling, it's interesting to see how words can be related across language that are part of the same languages family.
Okay, next to comparative reconstruction. What is actually comparative reconstruction, guys? Actually, it is a procedure that uses cognates from different languages to reconstruct the earlier or proto-form of a common ancestral language. So, in carrying out this procedure, we can make use of two very general principles. Next.
The first principle is the majority principle. It is very straightforward. If in a
It
cognate
says
set,
3 words begin with a P sound and 1 word begins with a B sound, then our best guess is that the majority have retained the original sound P. And the most natural development principle. It is based on the fact that certain types of sound change are very common as shown in table 70.1 sound changes. So look at the picture, guys. Direction of change. The first final vowels often disappear. And there is examples. BI and O becomes bin because the final vowels often disappear. And second, voiceless sounds become voiced, often between vowels. And the third, stops becomes fricatives. And the last one, consonant becomes voiceless at the end of words. Next. Comparing cognates. There are 3 languages, A, B, and C. Comparative construction involves analyzing cognates from different languages to reconstruct the earlier or protoform of a common and central language. So, at A language, Samtare, B, Samtar, and C, Shantar. Okay, and next, we will going to explain you sound reconstruction. In the given set of languages, the majority principle suggests that the initial sound K in languages A and B is the other than in language C. This is supported by the fact that K is a stop consonant and is a fricative, which follows the natural development principle of stops becoming fricative. Those one word reconstruction. Again, there are 3 languages, 1, 2, 3. Okay, using the majority principle, guys, we can suggest that the other form will most likely be based on language 2 or language 3. If this is correct, then the consonant changes must have been P become B, T become D, and K become G in order to produce the letter forms in language 1. There is a pattern in these changes. It is voiceless sounds become voiced between vowels. So, language 2 and 3 have other forms than language 1. Next.
History of English. The reconstruction of protoforms involved attempting to discern the linguistic characteristic of a language before the advent of written records, while acknowledging that even extant written records from earlier periods, such as Old English, may bear little resemblance to contemporary written English. This point is vividly illustrated through the example of the Lord's Prayer, where archaic letters like thorn and ed have been supplanted by the more familiar th and ash, has been simplified to a. These alternations exemplify the fluid nature of written English across epochs, reflecting shift in pronunciation, grammar, and orthography over time. Next. The history of the English language is traditionally divided into four main periods. Old English, which encompassed the language before 1100, Middle English, spanning from 1100 to 1500, Early Modern English, covering the period from 1500 to 1700. And finally, Modern English, which denotes the language development after 1700. These distinct periods mark significant linguistic transformations, reflecting change in vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and writing conventions, each influenced by historical, cultural, and social factors. Next. The foundation of the English language can be traced back to the Germanic language spoken by the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, who migrated to the British East in the 5th century. These tribes brought with them their language, which gradually evolved into what we now recognize as English. Example of Old English words derived from this Germanic language include man for man, wife for woman, child for child, house for house, made for food, eaten for eat, drinken for drink, and feuchten for fight. This word served as linguistic remnants of the early Germanic influence on the English language and provide insight into its historical development. Next. The transition from Old English to Middle English is marked by the arrival of the Norman French in England following their victory at Hastings under William the Conqueror in 1066. This event not only brought significant political change but also had a profound impact on the English language. An excerpt from George Canterbury Tales, written in Middle English, vividly illustrates this linguistic shift. She was clapped Madame Eglantine. Full well she sung the service divine, entombed in her nose full assembly, and French she spake full fair and pettishly. In this passage, we see the emergence of Middle English, characterized by the blending of Anglo-Saxon vocabulary and Norman French influence. The use of French word and phrase alongside English reflect the linguistic and cultural fusion that occurred during this period, marking a pivotal moment in the evolution of the English language.
Okay, guys, that's all our presentation today. And if you guys have a question, you may tell me tomorrow. Okay? Thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.